Lisa, what's up?
Can we talk?
I've always got time for a chat with you. Let's chat.
All right. After the gin settles, let's do this.
Let's do it.
Hello and welcome to today's episode of After the Gin Settles. Hi Heidi, how you doing?
Hi, Elisa. I'm good. I've had a good week. What about you?
Yeah, I've had a pretty good week. I had someone just random act of kindness pay it forward today at the hot dog van, and I got a free hot dog and some free donuts that someone else had paid for. So that's
Nice.
definitely boosted my day.
That is awesome. And what are you drinking for tonight?
I'm drinking, it's a Moonshiner is the distillery, and it's a pomelo and macadamia gin.
Ooh,
So
fancy.
something a bit different for me. What about you, Heidi?
I have got Hiker's Hut apple and honey gin. It's really refreshing, even though it's very cold here today. It's beautiful.
Nice.
It's yummy.
Okay.
So we had a pretty heavy topic last week. What are we going to chat about today?
We're going to be talking about our lives in sport. So sport is something that's always been pretty big in my life. I love sport. And something that you had a different relationship with growing up, but you're quite athletic. I'm not so sure you take up a sport, but you are definitely very fit now.
I definitely do not play sport, but I have found a niche that has made me a lot fitter than what I used to be. But not only that, it's made me happier and more rounded. And yeah, it brings some happiness to my day, which I never ever thought I would say in relationship to sport or exercise.
So, we're going to be talking about our lives and all things sport to do with us. So, Heidi, what was your very first sport that you tried when you were a kid?
I'm pretty sure I only really tried two, and that would have been swimming and netball. So it was a swimmer, from a toddler, and then even went on to compete in some local competitions, mainly breaststroke and backstroke, which were my two favourites. Look, I never was a great, winning Olympic type swimmer, but I really enjoyed it. And then did netball a lot through primary school, but probably stopped once I got into high school. So stopped a lot of sport quite early on. I probably had a lot of body image issues, and so swimming kind of got dropped because I didn't want to see myself in a bather suit. And I never was the most coordinated person, so therefore I kind of felt that a team sport wasn't particularly for me, and I just didn't enjoy it. It just wasn't something that I liked, where I know you had a completely opposite feeling about sport.
Yeah, I absolutely died to play sport. I remember being taken to my our brother that's in between us, basketball games a lot, and all I wanted to do was play basketball. Mum put me in netball when I was in primary school, and I hated it. I just hated it. I didn't understand the rules. It annoyed me that I couldn't go over there. They ended up putting me in centre just to make sure I wasn't causing as much strife to the team as possible.
A lady to
because I
run
could just
around
go
the most
everywhere.
amount of the court.
And yeah, they were just like, stop this poor girl from giving away frees. I didn't play it very long. I was not very good at it. And then Mum put me into mini ball with our brother, and I just loved it. The biggest problem for me when I was little was that I was really short. My height had got stunted when I was in grade 2. So I would quite often, people would think I'm not very good at sport, and I'd be on the bench or watching sport, and that killed me, because all I wanted to do was be part of the team, and I wanted to run around with everyone, and I really enjoyed that. I don't think I really thought about what my body looked like until maybe year 7. And I was definitely a very naturally slim, high
Mm,
metabolism kind of kid.
we definitely had
Also, just
different,
didn't grow. So,
yeah, we definitely had different metabolism and definitely had different body shapes and all the rest of it.
yes, yep. So, um, so you dropped out of sport then.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I dropped out pretty
I
early.
played in as many, yeah, pretty early, yep. I played as many sports as I could get to. Quite often it was if mum could get us there because she was going somewhere else. Like there was four of us, it was not easy. Um, so if I had a friend to take me somewhere, that was easy. So I jumped in the car and I'd go to volleyball or I'd go to basketball or I'd go from basketball to volleyball because it was next door. Um, I took up like lawn bowls in high school for a very short time. Um, just whatever. Especially things that got me out of having to do normal school. I was all up for it. I was into all the arts and all the dramas and things like that. I don't know if we call those sports. I'm calling them their recreation.
Yeah, where I was absolutely give me science, maths, physics, biology, all of those nerdy, boring behind a desk type things, and I was in heaven. Asked me to actually do some physical activity, and I was, I don't know, faking a broken leg.
Yeah, yeah. I loved like that time in PE where they were like, "All right, we're going to offer eight different sports. Just sign up for the one you want." That was my kind of thing for PE, and every other girl was like trying to dip out of it. But I hated swimming. It, and it would always go forever. It would be all of term one. It'd be getting cold, and I didn't start puberty until year 10. So I didn't get to be like, I've got my period, can't go swimming, like the other girls were getting to do. To me, like that's what it seemed like to me. I was like, why have they got an excuse? This is unfair. I don't want to do swimming. Um, so it wasn't until year 10 where I could use it to get out of swimming. And then I think even then in year 10, I don't think I actually got my period until like term two. So just never got to use it. But you love swimming. So,
I was it. I was definitely a bit of a fish, and I would swim after school, and it would be swimming into that winter months when it was cold and outside, and I really enjoyed it. But the body image came into it pretty early on. But you also loved watching sport and being a spectator, where for me, sport was never something that I was engrossed in, and it's probably something that I came into once I got married and had kids quite later.
I barrack for the Western Bulldogs, we've got brothers that go for Geelong as well as really close family friends who two out of three go for Geelong as well. And I was going for Geelong in primary school, and I remember our brother said to me, "You're not allowed to go for Geelong anymore. That's my team." And I don't know how old I was, but I just at the time I wanted to do everything he was doing. Like he was playing footy, I wanted to play footy. Mum said no. Um, so in true like childlike thinking, I was like, okay, well, what beats a cat? Obviously, a dog beats a cat. And that was it. From that point on, I just went for the Bulldogs. So there was no other connection other than dogs eat cats. I think I've had a personal vendetta against cats ever since because I don't really like cats as a pet. Um, it's shaped my whole life. Um,
Yeah, where I sort of started to become a spectator of sport. So,
Early on, you went for Collingwood.
yeah, I did go for Colin, but they were also winning and getting grand finals. But if you told me who were the players' names or anything like that, I wouldn't have known who the players were. I just knew that they were winning. Um, but definitely, I married into a very mad Richmond family and resisted the urge to become a fan and learn anything about them until quite well into our relationship. And then both of my children are huge fans of the Richmond Tigers. And I somehow fell into the cult quite quickly after that. And all of a sudden, I realised I had a Richmond outfit and knew the song and knew players' names and knew where they were on the ladder. And I sat back one day and went, oh bother, and now I have a reserve seat membership, and I'm like, who am I? What am I? So yes, that came in quite late in my life too, and now, I mean, it's not a great period for us at the moment. We're a little bit on the bottom of the ladder, but still do enjoy going, and it's quite a lovely family event and family time spending it with my husband and my daughter watching the game most weeks.
I would love to go to more AFL games. Before I had kids, if I was ever in Melbourne, I'd always make sure I lined up an AFL game. I went to the first ever exhibition match between Western Bulldogs and Melbourne. I specifically went to Melbourne just to watch that game, and it was fantastic. I just loved it. So very much follow any kind of sport. I particularly follow women in sport. I had the best moment on Saturday, this week, where I was sitting next to a couple while my daughter was doing her swimming lessons, and the wife was telling her husband how they'd woken up really early in the morning to watch the World Cup. And the conversation went on for 5 minutes as she was listing off people and whatever happened in the game. And after 5 minutes, the guy goes, "Oh, wait, this is men." And I was like, yes, just like, yes. Because women play, yeah, women play the real soccer World Cup. We all know that.
And what's really interesting, my daughter,
I was like, yes.
yeah, my daughter's
changing.
quite a lot like you, because she'll get up and she'll watch this women's soccer, and she goes very much as engrossed in the women's Richmond as the men's Richmond. And we've actually been to a women's Socceroos game, and she will watch all of it. So she is very much like you in that aspect, where she's really passionate about her sport. Do you think that sport shaped your confidence growing up? Do you think it was what got you into your current career?
Probably, but probably more of my negative experiences in sport probably leaned me towards the career that I'm in now. My career is more about helping having more equitable playing spaces for women and girls. And there were definitely moments in sport, in my sporting life, where things were just really unfair. I spent a lot of under-10s basketball sitting on a bench. And when I asked why, it all came back to the fact that I'm not tall enough to get as many goals as everybody else. And it's under 10s, like even when with my 10-year-old brain, I knew that was really unfair. That it's like, I'm only a kid. Like, I just want to go run around. And then I also had a teacher in primary school when we were doing inter-school sports, and I don't remember which sport I wanted to play. I'm pretty sure I wanted to play footy, and I wasn't allowed to do that because I was a girl. And then the next choice, well, I wasn't allowed to do that because I was too short. And I ended up, the only sport that I was allowed to play if there was space was soccer. And he just kept telling me that it's because you're short and we won't win if you play. And that was shit. Like, that was really shit to be told in primary school. And that was sort of my experience of PE in primary school, where I was just looked down on quite a bit by one specific teacher. And it really did impact how I felt about myself. And it made me starkly aware of the fact that I was shorter than everybody else. I'm now like just above average, pretty average height.
Yeah,
For a woman.
yes, you did. Your body did eventually remember that it had a growing phase to go through.
Yeah, yeah. And then, so I played hockey for a really long time, really liked that. Started that in under 13s, and one of our players actually swapped teams, so that the other team had enough players. And it was the first time I hit the ball in under 13s. And I remember a really good family friend of ours, Jo, was on the sidelines coaching us, and she's going, hit it. So I swung and I hit it, and I hit this girl split her whole head open, and she was actually one of our players who had gone and played for the opposition, and I didn't play again because I was like, oh my God, I've hurt someone.
You always did like the contact sport a little bit more than the non-contact.
Oh, I absolutely love contact sports.
Yeah.
So when AFL started up here, I was dying to get involved. Finally, my sister-in-law joined a team, and because she was playing netball there anyway, so she knew there was a team starting up. I eventually joined in with her at that club, and God, I just loved it. I loved the physicality. I loved tackling people. I didn't mind being tackled. There were other women, it was their first sport they had ever played, and they got upset when people touched them. And I'm like, this is part of it. This is the greatest part of it. Let's all just.
That is my worst nightmare. Like, you want me to tackle? You want me to get dirty? You want me to get, oh no, sorry, no.
It was really good. It was so much fun, and I have the proud standard that I have never kicked a point. I've only kicked goals. I've got 100% goal efficiency in front of goals. Not let's not ask how many I got, but
It doesn't matter. Stats are stats. You've got 100% accuracy.
playing sport and being in the moment is fantastic. Like when you're running around, even hockey is just running constantly, and you can take your mind off everything. I'm fairly certain, like I'm undiagnosed ADHD and autism, but when I'm playing sport, I can just lock in and everything else melts away, and you're just playing sport. Whereas the rest of the time, my brain is so busy that it's just this fantastic escape. And some days I finish the game and I'm like, the umpiring was shit, and that player pissed me off, and whatever else. But I've still had like
A good time.
a good time in it. I've played with some fantastic men and women, because I played men's sports with men as well.
Yeah.
And we can all go off and have a chat, and it's just nice. I like the community that comes with club sport. And then I had some instances of in when I played football, not at the club that I started at, but I had an experience in one of the country clubs down here, where a male footballer was really inappropriate, and said some things that were really inappropriate to me. And in country clubs, that's just really accepted. Like, it's just like,
Yeah. It's shocking.
like, and it was all over the change room. So we'd come off, and I just wanted to get into the change room and get my bag. And the guy at the door was like, "You can't come in. The men are in there, and they're like saying stuff and having a meeting, whatever." And I was like, I really don't care. I don't give a shit. Like, I just want my bag, to be honest. Couldn't give a shit what they're talking about. And my bag is trapped in there until you let me in. And he said something to the effect, I don't actually remember what words he used, because my blood was boiling already at the fact that I wasn't able to access my bag. He said something to the effect, "Their dicks later." And I was, and I think if I can find a moment in my life where I saw my job opportunity open up and went, I'm going to do that, that's probably the moment in my life that I thought of as soon as I read the job description of what I'm doing now. That specific moment where I was sexually harassed in a sporting club. I quit the sport entirely, didn't go back to another club, didn't want to play anymore, and went back to playing just hockey, where there are men there, but no one had ever said anything like that to me before, and women sort of run the club anyway, so you're not going to get treated. You might get treated like that, but I know that it would be actually addressed. So that's probably more what drove me to doing my career now.
Yeah.
What do you think brought you back to being physically active? That's a long time between swimming and...
Yeah, huge amount of time. So was in my 40s,
Yep.
um, and very unfit, quite overweight, and we had just lost our son, Harper, and I knew I needed to make a change, and I knew team sport wasn't for me. It wasn't something that I was interested in. It never tickled any fancy of me. So I joined a Pilates studio. And I was really lucky with the Pilates studio I joined because it did reformer Pilates, mat Pilates, and then also did some boxing, a bit of resistance, which is like a gym circuit, and bar, which, I don't do bar, I don't do the pointy toes thing. But I walked in to this studio and I found people like me. So normal humans who were there just to move their body. There wasn't a lot of the Instagram post, your body in skimpy little underwear. It was more just move your body, and if you are improving each day, you are doing amazing. And don't get me wrong, at the same time, they challenge and they push you, but it's in that nurturing environment. But it's also a lovely community. Like, we chat, we giggle, we laugh, we will complain about the exercises the whole time. Still doing it, but don't get me wrong, I will complain. I will possibly get distracted because I also think I've got undiagnosed ADHD, and if someone chats to me, I will probably not listen to the instructions, but I will eventually realise and come back and try. And so I just found this beautiful community, and I started with a little bit of reformer Pilates, and then I sort of said to the instructor, who is now actually a person I consider a friend, and I said, I can never do the boxing or the resistance. Like, I'm just too unfit. And she really encouraged me to give it a go. She's like, we will pair you with someone who matches your ability. We will support you and nurture you. And she was right. And for someone like me who's never enjoyed sport, I actually really love boxing. And it's probably because I am tricked into doing cardio. I don't realize that I am doing cardio. If you told me to go and run on a treadmill to do some cardio, I would be like, absolutely no way. Go jump in a creek. I'm pouring a gin. Where this one, I'm tricked into doing cardio because I can get my frustrations out. It's something that my husband and I often do together. So we often box each, spar for each other, which is great when you've had an argument. We've only been separated once or twice. But all of a sudden, I've done a 45-minute class. I'm sweaty, I'm hot. And I'm like, oh my God, I've just done cardio and I didn't realize it. And I've now got to the point where I'll often do a boxing class followed by a reformer class. Again, things that I would never think that I would ever say to do two back-to-back gym classes. But I really enjoy going. I love to hear about people's new upcoming, children and grandchildren, and hearing about weddings, and they do social activities where we do go out and we have a drink together. So it's not just about micro and macros and looking in the mirror and being the best you can. What it's about is being the best you can while being the best person you can at the same time. So yeah, found this beautiful community. My husband also was a bit more sporty than me, but again, had a long time out of sport. He's also just as signed up with this studio. And they've now got a beautiful little men's group that go for a cup of tea after Pilates on a Tuesday morning at 7 a.m. They will go for weekends away and go for bushwalking together. So I finally found that team sport, or that club mentality that I've never had before, that I kind of goes, I get it now. I get why people enjoy sport. I get why people might actually want to do this willingly and not under duress. So that's kind of where I came back to it, and I'm the fittest I've ever been. I'm not fit, don't get me wrong. I'm not, I'm never going to get on a football field with my fitness, but I'm happy and I'm healthier than I was. I'm moving my body more than ever. I do notice a difference when I don't go, with how I feel and how I sleep and all the rest of it. So I feel great. Did you play sport through your whole life, or was there periods like there's a few years difference between us, so we're obviously at different points of our life. So, was there points where you moved away and came back, or were you always into it?
Yeah, no, there's moments where I've been away and come back. So I've stopped junior basketball around under 10s, I think it was, and then I came back to it when I was so I could play social women's. So I think I was about 16 when I signed up with a social group of women, which included some of our mum's friends, basically. So it was older ladies who knew me really well and looked after me really well. And that was a lot of fun. And we used to put $1 in a tin every game, and then we would go out for tea at the end of the season. And it would cover tea, and then we'd also then go put the rest in the pokies and see if we could
I hope this wasn't when you were still under 16.
No, sorry, that was when I was 18 when we did the pokies, so I'll just clarify.
Just clarifying.
But when we started, it was just dinner. And then whatever was left over, we just kept rolled over to the next season sort of thing. And then I joined mixed basketball as well on Sunday night. So I played two rounds of basketball. It was very social. And then hockey, I stopped in under 13s because I'd smashed someone's head open and felt really bad. And then I went back when I was 22. Our little brother started playing hockey, and in between I'd done like school sports hockey in high school and gone away and did those trips and stuff. But yeah, our little brother started playing hockey, and I was like, oh, hang on, I used to remember enjoying this. So I went back, and I would have been about 22. I think I was 21 or 22. I was in my first year of teaching, so last year of uni, and stayed at it for quite a long time. And then in the year that I had... Sorry, let me just work out in my brain what the chronological order was. I think it was the year that the year before I got pregnant. Sorry, the first time when I had a miscarriage. In that year was probably the fittest I've ever been in my life. I was playing men's hockey Friday night. Saturday I'd go and play AFL. Then Saturday night I'd play the occasional A grade hockey, and then I'd play my B grade game on a Sunday, and then I'd have 3 nights of training that week. So it was pretty much Mondays was the only night that I wasn't doing something physically active with a team. And I absolutely loved it. I loved it. I got out of the house every night. I didn't have to sit and watch the TV. Because growing up, I just hated watching the TV. I wanted to be an actor when I was little, but I hated watching the TV. I don't know how it works. Maybe I just wanted to be on stage. But then I had a miscarriage, and I sort of pulled back quite a bit. I moved to AFL and just played AFL, and then that year, and then I quit AFL. The next year I had just everything off. I completely just laser focused on getting pregnant, and I didn't want to play a contact sport just to minimise risks. Had my son, then COVID started. I had a C-section, so I had to take quite a bit of the next season off. Didn't get back that season. Then COVID hit, so the next season was wiped out. Then I had my daughter, so the next season was wiped out. Very fortunate, had a VBAC with my daughter. So really lucky that my recovery was a lot better than my son, and that next year I was back into hockey. And having 4 years off and 2 kids, and then going back to hockey, I went from being the fittest I've ever been to being the most unfit I have ever been, and just having no ab structure, like nothing. My brain would be like, oh, you can get that ball, and my body would be like, get the fuck away from me. Yeah. My body would be like, who the fuck do you think I am? So it was really hard to go back and have the mentality of a skinny fit person who used to play a lot of sport to being a slightly overweight, heading towards obese person who cannot physically do the things that I used to be able to do. It was really hard. I really struggled with it. I had so many body image. Did have body image problems before. When all through my teens, I was constantly dieting, just constantly wanting to be skinny. But this was really different. This was just could not find clothes that I liked. I went and got my number that I'd worn before going on a break and be like, I'm going to be 11, but our shirts at hockey are in size order from like extra small is 1, 2, and then it goes all the way up to 16 is XXL, whatever. And all of a sudden I'm on number 16 because it's the only one that fits.
That's a big change in your mentality and what you're used to.
Yeah, yeah. So it was really hard to go back to sport after 4 years. I did stick with it. In that time, we also lost Harper, and my club added him to all of the team's shirts. So there's a little jitterbug on the shirts, which
Just
is really
brings me
nice.
so
And I
much
think
joy.
that's what I always liked about sport. That's what sport can be at its absolute best, is that it can acknowledge individual members. Our shirts also have we've discontinued number 1, and we've got a number 1 on all of our shirts in our logo. That's for one of our other players who unfortunately committed suicide. We've got It's Okay Not to Be Okay on our shirts as well. But that's what I think team sports should be. And we've got great clubs in my hometown, and that's what sport can be at its best. And it's not always that.
And I never found that as I was, young and growing up. I didn't understand that sport could be nurturing as well as competitive.
I never found I used to be into gym classes and stuff, but I never found that community in gym classes, and I'm so glad that you found that
And I'm glad that you've gone
community.
back to your sport and, after that lull, you've actually found them again.
Oh well, I am having this year off, but
Okay, well, other than that, you can't do a podcast and sport. Something's got to give.
oh no, I think I just burnt myself out because the other side of sport I think is really important is that sport is entirely run on volunteers. So without volunteers showing up and giving, sporting clubs don't run at all. Like they're not going to run. And I think I burnt myself out because I was volunteering in the committee for hockey, trying to do all of that whilst also starting a career that is predominantly after hours kind of work. So, so if you've got 2 little kids and you're after hours doing committee stuff for a sport and you're after hours doing work, and I was also on the committee for the Make-A-Wish in my hometown,
Where do
it's
you
too
fit life
much.
in?
Exactly, yeah. And I think, what did someone tell me that I'd had empathy burnout when you just care too much? And it's not that other people aren't helping, it's just that you can't do it. So I'm actually having a year off just to reassess and spend time with the kids. And
And so, what's really interesting is that my daughter is very much a sporty. She plays AFL, and something that she loves. She's joined an AFL academy. Again, she's not the best player out there, but man, does she try. She loves being tackled. She loves getting in there. She does it all. So she's definitely much more like your childhood. And she also rides horses. So another thing, I hate horses. They scare the bejeebers out of me. They look at me, they see into my soul. I don't like them. And yet it's 2 things that she loves, and it brings her so much joy. So we've really supported and nurtured her. But like you were saying, volunteering every week to make sure that their sport goes ahead is exhausting. And what about your kids? What are they playing?
we've got our son into soccer now, and my husband does quite a bit of the volunteering with that, so that's good. He went and set up all the goals the other day when it was our team's turn to set up the goals. It's really important, and I would never discourage people from volunteering for their local sporting clubs to give back a bit of what that sporting club is giving to you. Many hands make light work, and you don't have to do everything for a sporting club. It should be a community working together.
What broke us this week?
Do you have a good one?
You know what? I've actually got a sports related one. Um, and
Good.
I think it comes into that mama bear instinct as well. So, my daughter, as I said, loves her football team, loves supporting, loves doing everything she can. And 2 weeks in a row, her team finally had enough players for a bench. And so she started on the bench both games, which, everyone deserves the time on the bench. But for some reason, she both games spent more time on the bench than any other player in her team. And in the second game, spent more time on the bench than actually on the game. And as a mum sitting on the sidelines, my heart broke for her. My heart really was crushed that this child who is doing her absolute best to be a team player, to get in there, was basically being overlooked, and I still don't really know why that happened. I probably chucked the hissy fit and just refused to volunteer this week. If my daughter can't play a decent amount of time, I'm not helping, so that's how I dealt it. Very mature, absolutely not. My husband, on the other hand, was the mature person who did go to speak to the coach. I never really got an answer.
She's dropped out again. I think I'm not going to let this technology break me 2 weeks in a row. That's ridiculous. What broke me this week? I think just the overwhelm of being a parent has broken me a little bit this week. We have been trying to work through OTs and speeches and moving my daughter kinders. It was recommended to us to move her to an external kinder rather than the daycare kinder that she was in. So just all of that. And we're also waiting to hear back from people, and we just haven't heard back from them. So that's, so like NDIS is slowing up, and we just waiting to hear back from that process, and we haven't really seen it moving, is what has broken me this week.
All right. Did you actually manage to hear what I said?
Yeah, that you were refusing to volunteer for your club if your daughter didn't get to play
A decent amount.
a decent amount of time. Yeah.
So we'll
I
go
think
from
that,
there.
yeah.
Yeah, so that's kind of what broke me this week, and it definitely sent out my mama bear, cranky grizzly brown bear out there. And I know as a mum, I probably didn't deal with it the best way I can, but certainly my bristles all went up seeing my daughter be disadvantaged. And while I don't expect her to play every second of the game, I definitely expect her to have a decent amount on there and have at least an opportunity. So, yeah,
Yep.
that's our journey in sport. Two very, very different pathways into the world of sport.
Yeah, yep. And I think I was just explaining that we're waiting for people to call us back and all sorts of stuff, but I think I finally remembered what the actual one that I was going to say was, and it was sport related. My daughter does gymnastics, and both my kids do
Yes.
swimming, but Saturdays she does gymnastics, and then we drive straight to swimming. And sometimes she's a little bit tired. I'm not sure it's the best arrangement for her little brain. But she had been pretty good the last 2 weeks, and then this week, get to swimming, and there was a cockroach in the drain, and we had to save it. So we're spending a lot of time picking up a cockroach, putting it outside, rescuing the cockroach, making sure that everybody down the line knew that we were rescuing a cockroach. And I'm like, oh, I don't want to do this in my life, but thanks. So
She does love her
she also
bugs.
has. She does love her bugs. She's very outgoing. She loves being the hero in the story, so everyone else had to know about the cockroach, which is
Yes.
fine. We got the cockroach outside. She did throw it, so I don't know. It probably didn't survive anyway, but that's okay. She's also, not. She's not into finesse. She's into big movements. And then after all that, she was really dysregulated,
Yeah.
and getting into the pool. And then I opened the bag that my husband had packed of the swimming gear. And of course, there was no goggles in there because she also
Oh
needs them for her
no.
baths, because you couldn't
Yeah.
possibly have a bath or a shower without wearing your goggles. it's how it is.
It's
So obviously
water.
she's taken the goggles out.
Duh.
I know. So she's obviously taken the goggles out at some point, and my husband hasn't realised. I didn't check. So she now doesn't have her goggles. There's a whole bucket of goggles that she could choose from, but she doesn't want any of those goggles. She wants her goggles, and it's completely set her off, as well as the cockroach, who's now no longer watching her swim. And I was like, I don't know how to fix this. And she spent majority of the swimming lesson just being horrid. And I kept saying, "You'll go home." So the real thing that she likes doing, they do right at the end, which is diving. That's pretty much the only thing that she did actually do without screaming at someone. In the end, she had 3 different therapy toys sitting by the pool to help her regulate. She had me leaning over the pool, giving her a cuddle. And then after all of this hoo-ha and not doing any of it, they told her time was up, and she fucking lost it again. And piffed her goggles at the instructor, and I'm like, rip her out of the pool. Let's go. And like, your brain just goes, I hope no one's judging me. And if it was my first doing that, which it often was, I'd get really self-conscious about what people think of me. It's my second. I don't get that anymore. I'm just like, enjoy the show, enjoy your neurotypicals. Everyone can enjoy this.
Enjoy pretending
I'm going
you have
home.
the perfect life and you have the perfect child. I'm showing the opposite end, and everyone's going to be alive at the end of the day, and it's going to be fine.
Yes, we just need to regulate. And then we get out to the thing, and she's like, I want my chippies, which we always get chips because it ends at lunchtime. So I'm like, yeah, that's fine. She goes, and I get an ice cream. And I'm like, you don't. You don't get an
No.
ice cream. You didn't do
What
fucking
part of
swimming.
that
You
do
don't
you
get an ice
think
cream.
you get an ice cream? Yep. I think we really
gosh.
need to do
So
a
that
topic
was,
on your
yeah.
diverse children very soon, because my God, have we got some stories.
Yes. Yes. Yes, I think we do definitely need to do it. Love our kids to death, but they sure make life interesting, especially when you're running around undiagnosed. I've diagnosed myself through my children. I don't know if that's how it works, but I'm pretty sure it does. But
I, when we were doing the document for our daughter, my husband turned to me and he's like, "Do you reckon if we fill this out for you, we might get funding?" And I'm like, "You just need to shut up." Because yes, I have noticed there is a lot of tick boxes on there. So I hope you guys have all enjoyed a bit of a
yeah,
lighter one this week.
thank you all so much for coming. Thank you, Heidi. Sorry. Yeah, hopefully everyone got a laugh and could relate. Drop your favourite sport and your teams into the chat. And we'll see you next time.
See you next time. Enjoy your stronger gin if you need it. See you guys.
Bye.